Prepare for a massive revelation. Mob Entertainment might have just dropped a huge hint about Chapter 6's location, alongside exciting updates for Chapter 5, a peek into the upcoming movie, and a fascinating secret found in the game files. You won't want to miss this. The game hasn't received any updates in quite some time, leading many to believe that Chapter 5 was complete and wouldn't get any further patches, especially since it wasn't particularly buggy to begin with. However, it seems we were mistaken. Around Chapter 5's initial release, developer Malachi shared some behind-the-scenes content on Twitter, including a video of a cut prototype jump scare that players absolutely loved and wished had made it into the game. More recently, Malachi showcased a more polished version of this jump scare animation, announcing its inclusion in the next patch. As of this recording, that tweet was made 13 days ago, and there haven't been any further mentions about what this update entails or when it will be released. That said, the developers have previously indicated they were taking additional time to reflect on Chapter 5 before diving into new projects. It's possible they've been using this period to add new content and address other issues within Chapter 5, suggesting a larger patch might be on its way. I wouldn't get your hopes up too high, but we'll certainly find out soon enough. Moving on to other news, earlier this month, the BBC released a segment entirely dedicated to Poppy Playtime, featuring an interview with the developers where they discussed several interesting points worth highlighting. While I can't show the interview itself due to copyright restrictions, I can quote their insights. Firstly, Chapter 5 game director Bryce Clark was questioned about some of Poppy Playtime's common criticisms. Specifically, the critique that newer games tend to introduce new characters only to kill them off moments later, citing examples like Pianosaurus and Lily Lovebrands. Bryce responded by saying, "I think there's a little bit of a change in the studio in terms of once upon a time these were meant to be a sort of bite-sized experiences. These characters were stepping stones at building towards a greater future, but we're seeing a lot of them resonate with players a lot longer, and a lot of players really want a longer developed character arc to learn more about these toys. And so, we're kind of thinking a lot about that into the future of the universe. And the future of where we're going is that how can we make sure that we better honor fans' excitement and interest in these characters? Because there's a little bit of fatigue that can kick in too. If you get excited about a new character, dead. Next chapter, new character you're excited about, dead. It'd be nice to have some of them survive. This is a promising sign for the future, suggesting a shift towards more developed character arcs. Bryce also addressed claims that the series is intentionally being prolonged for financial gain, stating, "We are definitely sensitive to the fact that we don't want to drag this out forever, right? We want to make sure that people feel satisfied with the experience, that it has momentum, that it's going somewhere interesting. We care so much about what we're making, and we really do believe that what we had in Chapter 5 deserved to stand on its own, and deserved a little bit more beyond that." How much beyond that I can't speak to exactly, but I can assure you there's no intention to drag it out. These are very interesting and hopefully positive indicators for the future of the game's development, especially regarding character building and ensuring Chapter 6 doesn't feel unnecessarily stretched out. During the same interview, George Christic offered some insights into the Poppy Playtime movie, explaining, "We have a wonderful relationship with our film partners, and we share the story with them of the game, and we're working together on the film story. They've been very open to us protecting all the things that we just talked about, like the history, the lore, and we want to respect our current fans, and also open up the IP to new viewers, new players, new fans as well." It appears the film's story is already actively in production, suggesting good progress and that pre-production could be just around the corner. While this is purely speculation on my part, it does sound like they might be exploring a new plot for the film rather than simply retelling the game's story. This idea is reinforced by an offhand comment made later in the interview. "We have lots of great stories to tell that go beyond the one that we're kind of currently in the middle of. If they have numerous potential storylines, it would be a missed opportunity not to utilize one of them for the movie, but we'll have to wait and see." Speaking of other storylines, you might recall that for Chapters 5 and 3, the developers attempted to bring back Jacksepticeye to voice Marcus Brickley, a cameo character who first and only appeared in Chapter 2. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, Jack was unable to find time to record anything for the games. However, it seems there were far more extensive plans for his character. Fans have discovered an unreleased note in the game's files, originally intended for Chapter 5, which centers around Marcus Brickley. This note reveals that he actually survived the Hour of Joy and penned this small message weeks later, on August 21st, 1995. I won't read the entire note, but you can pause the video if you wish. This is incredibly cool to see, especially since in this note, Marcus states that the company told him the experiments were actually conducted on volunteers as a cover-up. This would likely explain how so many different employees and scientists could work on or around the experiments without suspecting any moral wrongdoing, as Playtime Co. presented it as if all participants were willing. While it was cut from the game, making its canon status uncertain, it's a fascinating piece of lore nonetheless. Now, let's move on to perhaps the most intriguing update we've received so far regarding Chapter 6. It seems Mob Entertainment has already confirmed the location of the next installment. In Chapter 5, the ending was extremely ambiguous. We descended into the data center to find some kind of backup to aid us in defeating the prototype, only for him to snatch Poppy from us, taking her to an unknown location. Upon activating this backup, we discovered it was actually just the archived mind of Harley Sawyer, who presumably will provide the answers needed to defeat the prototype. Beyond that, it was never explicitly stated where we would go next. The prototype did hint at a better place where he took the orphans, but no one had any concrete idea what this physical location was. That is, except for one popular theory. Early in Chapter 5, we glimpse a city within the caves that, when viewed on a map, was a fully modeled physical location, not just a generic background asset. The common belief was that this would be the setting for Chapter 6, and as wild as that theory might sound, it appears the developers have just confirmed its truth. Randomly, on their social media, they decided to post an art piece drawn by the artist Amber, which features every single toy in the game. If you've followed the channel for a while, you know that Mob Entertainment occasionally hides secrets for future chapters within their artworks, and this one is no different. Upon closer inspection of the background, what might initially look like a blend of meaningless mesh clearly reveals, in certain sections, a city skyline with various buildings. These buildings bear an almost identical resemblance to those seen in the Chapter 5 city. There's simply no way this is a mere coincidence or was placed there without reason. To me, this has to be confirmation that Chapter 6 will indeed take place in that city location. There was already substantial evidence suggesting this beforehand, but now Mob Entertainment has directly referenced the idea of a city existing down there in this official artwork. The prototype is even depicted as the main focal point, looking down upon all the other toys, which I'm sure is meant to symbolize his dominion over them. Let me know what you all think.